Good evening, Moonbasers. This is another instalment looking at my Project Sword toy collection. Last time we looked at some miniature hard plastic toys from Japan. Tonight I'm going to be looking at the same toys, but this time in rubber. You'll have to excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold, so I hope that you can understand me okay. The toys that we're going to be talking about are these here. They are about ½ an inch long, maybe ¼ of an inch wide, and they are, as I say, made of rubber. Whether they are actually meant to be pencil erasers is another matter, but they are certainly described as erasers on Japanese auction sites. They are exactly the same as the hard plastic toys that I looked at in my last Moonbase video. If we take the Scramble Bug as an example, here's the rubber one. You can see it's very flexible. This one's pink. Here is a hard plastic version. They are exactly the same, right down to the finer detail on the surface, to the wheels, just the same, and it's the same with all of them. If we look at Scout 1, the space boat, they're exactly the same. There's the hard plastic one. This is the rubber one. There's another hard plastic one. Oddly enough, they are a little bit bigger than the smaller of my hard Scout ones, so let's just check, and they are the same size as the big one. Interestingly, they don't bother with the engine detailing at the back on the rubber one. That's just been left out. The rubber ones do have the 3 wheels, which the plastic one has, so they do stand proud of the surface, and every one of them has the 3 wheels. What do they look like when you get them? Well, fortunately, in the case of the rubber miniatures from Japan, we do know what they look like in a bag, and this is them. They are simply marketed as UFO. I don't know what this Japanese means here. I'd like to get that translated. There's also a little bit down there. They're by a company called Takoichi, who have got this rather cute little sort of moon man. Reminds me a bit of a king critter, actually. Or is it King Crater? I'm never sure. So that's what the bag looks like when you buy a bag of these UFO erasers on a Japanese auction site. It's about 2 inches by 2 inches. It's a square, comes in a bag. It's always stapled at the top and it's plain at the back, so you can imagine them being sold in toy shops, maybe stacked up like this in the shelf. The backing card looks like this, taking it out of the bag, and the artwork is a mishmash of various things, some of which is immediately recognisable, some not so. Here we've got a version of Thunderbird 3. Here in the far corner we've got, very interestingly, the SpaceX MEV 2, and that looks suspiciously like the Ed Valigorsky painting in the Lifebook. There is also a smaller vehicle just coming over the crest of the hill there. There's some housing units just below the astronaut's foot, and here we have the domes with the classic chevron banding of that period, and these are the same domes which featured in the Apollo Moon Exploring series of toys. Now here we have an astronaut who's running along or jumping along on the surface of what I presume is the moon, and here interestingly we have another smaller astronaut in the background who looks again as if he's adopted a SpaceX golden astronaut pose, the one where he's holding his head up. It's a bit like always reminds me of a sort of a John Travolta pose of the LP astronaut that came with the SpaceX toys. So all in all it is a bit of a mishmash. Then you've also got UFO, whether that's a reference to Jerry Anderson's UFO or whether it's just a generic use of the term, I don't know, but that's what the backing card looks like. I have quite a few of these sets, and I've got them over the years. They're much easier to get hold of than the hard plastic ones. Much easier. The hard plastic ones are nigh on impossible to find in comparison to these rubber ones. They always come in the bags, never seen any loose, and what I've done over the years is I've just, for my collections say of my own interest more than anything, I've just bagged up the various models into specific groups. They didn't come like this, you know. You don't get a bag full of Scout 2s. You get them mixed like that. That's a good mix there. So, and there's my bag full of Scramble Bugs, which is rather nice. Obviously they come in all different colour varieties. So let's take a look at just one of these. These are the earlier ones that I got. In other words, these bags full are the ones where I take the staple out and put the different vehicles together. If you look at the base, there's no distinguishing features. There's obviously the mould waste here on the Scramble Bug. Just comparing it with the hard plastic one, there you've got moulding holes. Here you've got just a little bit of excess rubber. If I just pick another vehicle at random, Scout 2, again there are no distinguishing features underneath. If you remember pick this Scout 2, again no distinguishing features, but if you remember, some of the hard plastic ones are numbered. You're not going to be able to see this, although I am trying to show you a bit closer than I did last night on the other video. You're not going to be able to see this, and I doubt very much if this will work. I'm using now using a magnifying glass, but it does say 14 on there. So some of the hard plastic ones are numbered and some of them are not, and that is the case with the rubber ones. I can't explain this. There's an unnumbered scramble bug, but then if we are to look at the most recent bags that I've got, now whether these represent a later batch I have no idea, but if we look at this little batch, which are in pristine nick, they look very, very bright indeed, and very complete. These are obviously quite fragile, being rubber, especially these wing details like that on Scout 1, they easily drop off. Now some of these, amazingly enough, are numbered and some aren't. There's a Space Glider that's not numbered, and there's a Space Glider that is. Now when I say numbered, it's showing a hand, in this particular case, with 2 fingers outstretched, so like that. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'll try. And I'll even hold it just close up to the camera, see if that works. There is an outstretched 2-fingered hand, which I'm assuming is the number 2. We have the same on Scout 1 there, the outstretched 2 fingers. But then if we look at the Scout 2, in this case we have all fingers outstretched, so I'm assuming that's number 5. The scramble bug, amazingly, if we looked last time, there was nothing on the other pink one. On this pink one we have a completely outstretched hand again, 5 fingers outstretched, in the middle mould mark. If I look at this other bag, which I haven't opened, but some of the toys are visible, there on the bottom of Scout 2, again there's the 2-fingered hand. On the other Scout 2 there's the fully outstretched hand or palm, there a 5 again, the same on the green one, that's a 5, and on that black one there's no marks whatsoever. Interestingly, a new number, I'm not entirely sure what this means, on that Space Glider we have a, well, I suppose it's a fist that's turned round to face the camera, if you will, looking like that. So what that signifies, I don't know, is that 0? I suppose it is. Why would you have a 0 as a number on a toy? So this is a mystery. Why are some of these rubber sword miniatures numbered in such a way that they're using hands in different finger combinations to show the numbers? Is that for the international market? So it's very understandable, and yet some of the same vehicles have completely different combinations of fingers being shown. So I really have no idea, and I would be very, very glad of your thoughts on that subject. All in all, I do love the UFO Project Sword rubbers. My good friend Bill and Terry introduced me to these about 5 years ago, as well as the hard plastic versions, and if you just put a bundle of them together, there's the rubber ones, there's the hard plastic versions, and you can see they're virtually identical. Interestingly, as a final note, all the rubber vehicles which I have got are the only hard plastic vehicles which I know to exist. I have never seen any new vehicles in the rubber ones that don't feature in the hard plastic ones, and vice versa. The only exception to this, and looking at it now, is a Polo Saturn. I've not seen a rubber version of that, and Task Force, I think it's Task Force 2. I've not seen a rubber version of that. Actually, Task Force 3, there isn't a rubber version of that. Now that's not to say that they don't exist, but I do have at least half a dozen, if not more, bags of rubbers, and they've not featured yet. So oh, and the dinosaur. So what I said previously, I take it all back. This is the beauty of getting everything out at once, and videoing it. Things do reveal themselves to you whilst you're doing it. Okay, so we have there the Tokoichi UFO Project Sword rubbers, and I hope that it's been of interest, and that you might yourself look for them on Japanese auction sites. That's all for now. Keep on swording.